Välkommen! Hälsa alla Midsummer, which means welcome to you and greetings on Midsummer Day. Today we're celebrating Elim's Swedish heritage in a variety of ways. Yesterday was actually Midsummer Day, not a church celebration, but a day celebrated by many Swedish people. And maybe some of you attended the service or the dance that they held at Lutheran Church of the Good Shepherd this past week, dancing around the maypole. I emailed one of my Swedish cousins who lives in Småland, which is in southern Sweden, and said, "How do you observe Midsummer Day?" And her answer was, when I lived in Skureby, which was a small town in southern Sweden, we had a midsummer party every Midsummer Eve. The men went to the forest to pick up lots of leaves for the maypole, which they called Midsummer Stång. The women and the girls made something called kransar, and those are the ovals that you see up here, and they put flowers on those. It took place at my father's yard by the little lake. Everybody joined in, and after raising the maypole, we danced a little, and of course, had coffee time with lots of cakes by the lake. So these are just some pictures that we came up with so you can see exactly what the Swedes did. And over here in our country, in various towns, they still carry on the tradition, just reminiscing about Sweden. We, of course, won't be dancing around the maypole this morning, but you see them on the screen. And we also have a model of one as a centerpiece downstairs when you come for coffee, thanks to Kathy Roos that made that. In a little while, we will be serenaded by a special choir over here, and they're going to be singing the song known quite well by people who have ties to Sweden, Hälsa därhemma. And you saw the words in your bulletin, and I think they'll be up on the screen later. This is a song from the immigrants here in America who are homesick for their beloved Sweden. That's their homeland. The person is saying in the words, talking to the bird, the swallow, saying, "You're soaring away to your goal," which is Sweden. This is part of the words. "And if I had wings, I would gladly fly back there with you." And then the chorus says, "Greet them in the homeland. Greet my mom and my dad and my little brother too." Think of those that established this church 125 years ago. They were these Swedish immigrants that came over here and longed often for the homeland. What happened over there, the rules at the time were that the land would go to the oldest son, and the rest of the children had to fend for themselves as far as getting established someplace. And so that's how many of them ended up over here. That is not any longer the case. But so many of them that came over never did get back to see their parents. This is a song of loneliness and homesickness. And they don't sing it in Sweden because it's a song from over here longing for the homeland over there. Moving on, our coffee hour today is a little more special than usual. Elizabeth Circle has 10 members, and each of us went through all of the old cookbooks, and each of us selected a different recipe out of some of these old cookbooks to prepare for today. So you're going to have 10 different choices, and yes, if you want 10 things, you can have 10 things if you want to sample them all. With so few people here, there's going to be plenty to go around. Everything is labeled, the name of the recipe, and the name of the person that submitted it. Some of you older members of Elim might recognize some of those names. Elim has put out at least a dozen recipe books in these past 125 years. And we're very fortunate to have 2 copies of the very, very oldest one. It didn't have a date in it, but doing some detective work, we discovered Pastor Carl Olson was the pastor at the time, and we figured the years that he was here, He had a message in the book, so we knew he was here. Calvin Coolidge was also president at the time, and so we looked up the years of his presidency. And the connection there is his wife had a recipe in the book. And we think that they summered over in the Brule, and somebody from Elim had a connection with them there, and so they have a recipe from her. It's called coffee souffle. I'm not sure how good it sounds. It didn't sound particularly good to me when I read it. But when you come downstairs today for coffee, all of these old recipe books will be displayed, and her recipe is printed out so you can spot it and check it out for yourself if you wish. The church library has at least one copy of all of our cookbooks. So if any of you are interested in the future of checking them out and paging through just to see what they did back then, go ahead. That's why our library is there. Even if you don't come down for coffee usually, I really encourage you to come today. You're going to find that we have a little coffee stuga, and as Pastor said, you're going to be served with a silver service, and we've got our Swedish decor out, so we feel we really want you to come and check it out. One more thing, we felt we should have the Swedish flag up here today when we're talking about our Swedish heritage. This is our own flag. Gordy and I have a mixed marriage. All of his grandparents, some of you didn't know this, all of his grandparents came from Norway, all of my grandparents came from Sweden. So I am very Swedish, and it says Swedish to the core. So, at any rate, we hope to see you all downstairs after as we continue to celebrate our Swedish heritage. The choir is going to be singing Hälsa därhemma, and thank you to Connie Jacobson for her accordion work today.